You are along for the ride with Mad Dog and Cole. Someone call IT. Farrell.
Hey, road trip should normally stay on the road.
I decided to fly through the air and live in the sunlight and enjoy life as much as I could, and that's just what I'm doing.
Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure? Stay calm. Wait.
Welcome to episode 54. We made it past 50. Hard to believe. Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Evil Knievel, for those inspiring words. Man, we should all take a little time to live in the sunlight and enjoy life.
Of course, and if you're going to live life and fly through the air, it's only possible because of our first responders, the brave men and women in our armed forces, all the men and women of our military. Keep us safe right here at home. Let us do this podcast. Let us stay free. Let us have our lives.
Yeah, thank you so much. And a special thank you to those families who suffer greatly for our military, our KIA, MIA families. Huge respect, huge props. Thank you so much. And while we're thanking people, thank you, Kicker Performance Audio. All your audio needs, find them online, kicker.com, or on Instagram at Kicker Audio. Of course, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear. Or you can get what I got and got all three. I've got the Bomber Boogie Bomb polarized floating safety lens in blue ice with the extra anti-glare blocker. Incredible glasses. Just love these things. Find them online, bombereyewear.com, or on Instagram at bombereyewear. Of course, where would we be without the Premix podcast? Our man Cole sharing all his passion for desert racing through the lens of the camera. Also available for your off-road event and other events, MC and announcer needs. Hit them up on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. That is the at symbol, ThePremixPodcast on Instagram. Of course, Kelsey Morel Film. Find her on Instagram at Kelsey Morel Film. We're so thankful that she's working on all our videos and working on getting them up on YouTube and now YouTube podcasts, where you'll find them under MAddOG, MAddOG Media. Thank you so much, Kelsey Morel Film. If you need any video production or video needs, hit her up on Insta at Kelsey Morel Film. Of course, Hey Keeks Marketing. If you need social media, you need a website built, you need help growing your social media, you just need to hire some influencers, give her a shout. Hey Keeks. Find her on Instagram at Hey Keeks Marketing, or check her website out, heykeeks.com. Dude, we got a goodie.
Back again. American
Yes,
legend.
Indeed. Here we go. I told you it was a goodie, folks. Here we are. What is up, AJ?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, thanks for having me on again. Stoked to be back.
Yeah, welcome back along for the ride.
Yeah. No, I'm stoked to talk to you guys.
It's been rad. I know with schedules, my travel schedule and then your travel schedule, and we were wanting to get right close to Vegas to Reno, but man, you like literally got home, switched suitcases, and went to Argentina,
Yeah, literally. So we raced Vegas to Reno, and then I went home for the day and then went back out to Vegas. We had that Can-Am, the new Maverick R launch.
Yep.
So I was out there and then literally flew home that night, switched suitcases again, and then the next morning went to Argentina. So it's been a little hectic.
That's crazy. This Vegas to Reno, dude. How was it? I mean, obviously, it didn't end up the way you wanted it to. For those of you who didn't follow it real close, you had a mechanical late in the race that put you back to, what, like fifth, sixth, something like that.
I think it was, yeah, I think it was sixth. Honestly, at that point, I was pretty
Yeah.
bummed. So I looked, and I looked at the overall results after the results afterwards. But I mean, yeah, it was a bummer, but a lot of positives came out of that day. I think we had a really good day. Our pace was nice, and I felt good in the car. So sometimes stuff like that happens, and it's a bummer. There was a lot of good things, so I was stoked about it. And obviously for my South Racing Can-Am teammate, to win, that's awesome. So
Yeah, we actually previous episode we had Aaron and Amy on. So
oh, cool.
yeah, that was a lot of fun getting their perspective, because that's a little different perspective than we get from you guys that are behind the wheel. So
For sure. And then that's what I was telling them too. I mean, it's awesome to win a race no matter what, but to win it with your dad next to you. Out of all the stuff that I've ever done, I won a race with my dad in the spec trucks down in Baja. We won San Felipe in 2019. And, out of every memory that I've had racing and stuff, that's by far my favorite. So told him, dude, like this is cool. So yeah,
yeah,
good.
it was super rad. And really you did. I mean, you had a solid pace, and I think you guys I think you still finished like quite a ways up there in the overall. Um,
Yeah.
so
It was, it was a good day. We just kind of,
yeah,
we cruised all day, and we were really happy with just kind of chilling, not being too crazy, going fast where we wanted to go fast. And then, taking our time in the dust and stuff like that. And, before we knew it, we were first UTV on the road. And with less than, 150 miles to go or something. And I'm like, oh, shit, this is going to work out. Like, right on. Like, hey, all right. And then, we had some things kind of not go our way, but hey, it is what it is.
yeah, and that's unfortunately that's all part of it, as you well know with your experience and background. And people are like, "Oh man, that's got to be so heartbreaking." And I know at the moment it is, but then you look at the big picture, and really for you, I mean, how long had it been since you ran a desert race on American soil?
Yeah, it had been a while. This year actually, especially one that long. I mean, we this year coming up with the new Red Bull, with the new Red Bull deal and stuff. They had me doing a couple of things in the United States, but never anything that long in the UTV. Definitely never raced Vegas to Reno before the whole thing in the UTV. So, yeah, it was crazy. It was a long day.
Yeah, we that year that I did it and helped that team with some pitting and pit strategy and stuff. We had two cars. They were running in stock class and or whatever they call it now, uh, production stock. I don't know,
Right.
but um, we got down to the wire, and they ended up basically 5 miles from the finish jockeying for position. Um, and the guy that was in physical second was actually in first on time, but hadn't calculated properly and tried to make a pass in the rocks and uh, busted a wheel and a transmission with 4.8 miles from the finish.
Oh,
So
that's such a bummer.
yeah,
Yeah, those last what is it? That last 30 miles or so through all those rocks going up the hill and then back down is so gnarly. I mean, every single year I come back to that spot in Vegas Reno and I'm like, oh my God, this sucks.
Yeah.
It's so brutal. So you get through all of that all day, for 10 hours. And then it's like, all right, well, this last 30 miles is going to take us another, 45 minutes or so. So it's wild. But yeah, that's tough. That's a bad place to be stuck too.
Yeah, it sucked. So it was like I got it all in one. That was my first race, first desert race ever. And so, we had a guy win and a guy break 4.8 miles from the finish. And I said, well, maybe that's it for desert racing for me. I've got the thrill of the victory and the agony of defeat all in 5 minutes.
Exactly. One and done.
Yeah. So, yeah, no, and your pace was stellar early. I mean, you guys looked really good, and really this was your South Racing and Red Bull. What is it? South Racing's Red Bull Can-Am factory team.
Red Bull Can-Am factory team with the car built by South Racing.
Gotcha.
That
Okay,
works.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. There's that is a mouthful, but anyways, that's really their first jump at like Vegas to Reno. So to have you guys as competitive, I mean, the whole team as competitive and show the strength. Um, Man, I would guess that has some other big teams and other big brands uh, shaking in their boots, man. So great job.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's really good for the team for sure. Everything that happens. So, we're learning and starting to figure it out, it seems like,
Yeah,
So yeah, no, it's good.
yeah, that's awesome. So now you did the new Can-Am uh, Maverick R
Yes.
release. They would call it a release event, but knowing a lot of you guys and being in tune with a lot of you guys in your Instagrams, it looked like it was a pretty good party.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was a it was a good group, a really good group of people that all, like are really closely acquainted with Can-Am and stuff. So that for Can-Am to have us out and put this all together, and they set up camps for us, and they had chefs out on the trails and stuff like that cooking like killer food, and just for everything to go the way it did, gave us awesome cars obviously to drive. So yeah, it was a good event for sure. It was really nice.
That's crazy. It looked like it was a lot of fun, and that new car, there's a lot of chatter about it, good, bad, and indifferent, but it looks pretty solid. It's an acquired look. I think it's like, you kind of it's like when the KRX, when Kawasaki released the KRX, or when Polaris released the Pro R, or when, for all that matters, for when Can Am released the first Maverick, everybody was like, ooh, because it didn't look like everything else, right?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and then you start, it's kind of like that brand new Chevy and GMC grill that everybody
Right.
said they put on upside down a couple years ago. And now every time I see one, I'm like, man, that's attractive, you know?
Right,
so,
exactly.
so yeah. Okay. So we got through that. You got it. Did you get to skim the pond?
Yeah, I hit one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some dudes doing it, and I was a little bit late to that party, but yeah, I showed up. I hit one. I was all good after one. I'm not, I'm a big land guy.
Yeah. What they don't show is what the inside of the car looks like after doing something like that.
Exactly. And dude, there was all of that rain. Like it was a huge storm before that. So, I mean, like everything was so washed away, even out there at Big Dune. I mean, in the foothills right before that, everything was so muddy, and like just, there was little ponds everywhere and stuff like that. So it was a dirty couple of days.
Yeah. Well, I bet you're real glad it waited till after Vegas to Reno, though.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. That's great.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, what you guys go through on Vegas to Reno, and then throwing in, of course, you have the experience of running, south of the border, all the score, so many score races and Baja races, and overseas, Dakar. You guys really ran with the weather, in the weather, despite the weather. Um, and, you guys got hammered this year there. So I'm sure after Dakar, like 500 and whatever it was, 550 miles with a little bit of rain probably wouldn't have bothered you too much.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad, honestly. I mean, that's like a proper good Dakar day, you know. So I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Nice. So you jetted straight off after the Can-Am ride. You jetted straight to Argentina.
Yeah, the literally the next morning. So I got home from Vegas, and then the next morning we flew into Buenos Aires, and then we hopped on another plane, and then went to La Rioja where the rally started. So yeah, it was tight the couple of days.
Yeah, because you just literally, so you got out of all day in a race car, jumped in a couple play days in a race car, or what will soon be a race car, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Um, and spent what, a full day flying, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it took like a little bit, I think like 33 hours or something like that. So
Wow.
yeah, because you got to stop a couple of times and layovers and stuff like that. So yeah, it was those days it gets, long after a while. Once you start hopping through airports and stuff like that, and then obviously we race generally in the middle of nowhere, so we got to
Right.
figure out a way to get out there. So yeah, it was like 33 hours or something like that. So
Good Lord. And then you guys were basically shaking down the equipment the next morning after you got there. Yeah.
yep. So yeah, we hopped basically straight into the cars, and we had a shakedown, and then the day after that we was straight to prologue. So it was quick.
Wow. How weird was it going from because I'm assuming there's a lot of difference between your rally raid car and your Vegas to Reno car, even though they're essentially the same car, same brand, obviously, Can-Am and all that. Um, but the cars are set up, I would imagine, quite differently, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really different. I mean, not like crazy different. Same chassis and stuff like that. Just the American cars are just, they're built for more American Baja style racing, and then the rally cars are, like more tuned to that kind of stuff. So, it takes a second to kind of get in and like remember, all right, this is how the rally car works, that kind of stuff. This is, what you can and what you can't do, and like kind of what to expect out of each car. But we have a full day of shakedown. We have all the mechanics out there, the whole team out there, to basically do whatever we need to the car and really make it like tuned and right for the race. So it takes a little bit, but I mean, after a couple of kilometers, you remember how to do it. So
Guys, just pull the belts tight and mash it.
basically, I mean, there's not really much else to it. We're not rocket scientists over here.
I love it. That is one for the clip, Cole.
Yeah. No, definitely. Now, is it hard to go from a different style of navigation? Because obviously you got the GPS in the Vegas to Reno car, and you're obviously calling corners way differently. And now you're going, way different with your cap headings and your speed limits and everything. Is that even harder to adjust to than the car itself, or is it pretty dialed at this point?
I mean, we're pretty dialed at this point, but yeah, I mean, that's a huge difference too. Is like, it's crazy at Vegas to Reno. You never like get scared. Oh man, we might miss a waypoint or something like that because like a VCP or something like that. So like, that's another way you kind of have to drive too. Is like you can't go too gnarly, and if your navigator says this is kind of a confusing section or something like that, you can't just bash through something. Pick the whatever feels best. I mean, you have to kind of not slow down, but you got to collect yourself and kind of pay attention to what he's saying to be able to do the right corner, or, you know, take the right road or whatever it is. So I would say that that's a big one too. And then, you know, the guy that rides with me, Gustavo, my navigator for all the rally stuff, he's came over for a couple of US races and Mexico races and stuff, but you know, he generally doesn't. So that's different too. Kind of like having a different person sitting next to you talking to you, you kind of have to adjust to that, like just more your mindset and like kind of what you're expecting to hear and that kind of stuff. Everyone's different, obviously, you know. So it's like you get used to that dude for 11 hours riding next to you, and then I hop in and and then I'm, you know, listening to this guy sitting next to me for, you know, 5 days in a row. So it's like it's just different, you know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And the ability to make the adjustment and do it quickly. I mean, kudos to you, dude. That's not easy. Maybe, you know, maybe some people are like, don't understand it, but it is not easy to go from somebody, you know, in that, especially in that short of time, from one navigator, one person in your radio to another person in your radio. When it's both race situations, but completely different styles, like you said, that's right. Huge props to make the adjustment that quick. And you guys did it well. You had a really good Arizona. Oh, good Lord. Argentina. What did they call that officially? Argentina rally?
It was called the Ruta 40. So Ruta 40. So Ruta 40 rally. I guess that like we did a lot of old Dakar routes, like when Dakar was in Argentina and stuff like that in the, you know, 2000s. Yeah. So like I guess we did a lot of those. I never did any Dakars in South America at all. So it was actually my first time down there in Argentina. But it was cool. It reminded me a lot of Mexico, honestly. The desert, and they had cactus proper and stuff like that. Mountains. The mountains are crazy. You know, we were right there on the border of Chile and the Andes Mountains, and it was nuts. And then another thing that I knew it because I mean I looked it up obviously, but it was winter down there. You know, it's 120 degrees at my house.
Right.
And then I go down there and we're going through some of the mountains on the liaisons in the morning, and it's like 30 degrees. And I was like, oh, shit. So, I mean, it was a little bit of a, you know, a shock at first.
Oh man, I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, that's a whole nother, like, it's a whole nother card in the mix, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy cow. Yeah, I hadn't even considered that, but doing the mountains and stuff, that makes sense. And that's it. Definitely has to be a shock. I mean, you know, I'm in Arizona. Well, I'm not right now, but I normally live there. And when it's like you said, you know, 115, 117, going to somewhere where it's like 70, I was cold. So I can't imagine going to like 30. Holy God.
Yeah. It was definitely a little shocking at first, the first couple of days. I wasn't quite ready for it, but yeah, it was badass there. Honestly, it was tough, like really, really hard. It's a tough place to race. So, I mean, Saudi Arabia, those are the hardest races I've ever done, is the couple of Dakars that I've done. But, it would be gnarly to have to go through Argentina for, you know, 10 days in a row or something like that. So, big shout out to all those people that used to do those. So,
yeah, that a lot of you know, of course, there wasn't tons of coverage that we had through social media, but everything that we saw, everything that I read seemed like a lot of the coping was with like dust, like a lot of dust.
Yeah, a lot of dust, and then they have this stuff. It's like, for me, they call it spesh, and I've always thought that it was just a silt bed. And you know, essentially it is, but this stuff is so gnarly and they have so much of it. And it's literally like this like powder and like clay that like once you're in it and it like bottles up inside the cab like that, you're done. Like you can't see anything at all. And it's thick and it sticks to you and it just doesn't ever get out. So like they have that and like it slows you down. Like, your chest will hit the steering wheel because it slows you down when you hit it. So
Wow.
like that, it was crazy. So, and then that was bad. And then, yeah, the dust was gnarly. So it was definitely something that I don't think a lot of like the rally racers, other than if you did Dakar there, you're really used to, because we don't have a lot of that in a lot of the rallies that we do. So it was definitely different.
That's crazy. So, and how did you ran good pretty much the whole time, right? Didn't that come out okay?
Yeah, I ended up getting third in the general. So got another podium. So I'm stoked about that. But yeah, I struggled the first couple of days, the first 2 days. We had a little bit of issues with trying to, set up the car right with CVTs and, top speed, acceleration, that kind of stuff. So we kind of were being a little bit weird. And then, on day 3, we figured it out. Like after the first 2 days, because I had pretty bad days. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna absolutely just send it. Like I don't like, I'm already pretty far down, so let's just go for it. And then I ended up, having a really good day on day 3, and then followed it up the last 2 days, and somehow stuck my way onto the podium. So really, really happy about that. But got some good points for the World Championship, and it's gonna go down in Morocco. So we'll see.
Yeah, now is Morocco that's coming up quick also.
Yeah, so that's October, middle of October. I'm not sure. 16th, 17th, something like that.
Man, oh
That's
man.
a fast turnaround, man. That's
Yeah.
I mean, we've said it 100 times already, but the travel you've been putting in is just crazy, but it's what it takes at the top level, right?
Oh, 100%. I mean, yeah, that's the schedule, So like it was nice. We had most of summer off. I did a couple of scrambles and like some events for Red Bull and stuff like that. So I was in the car a little bit, but we had most of summer off. That was cool. But yeah, it's right back on it now. But after Morocco, we have a little bit more time off. I literally get married. Morocco ends on the 19th, and I get married on the 21st. So it's game on after that. But so a little bit of time off, and then I think I'm pretty much clear until Dakar.
Nice. I was gonna ask, obviously you're not doing the 400.
No.
Do you have any Baja stuff coming up? You gonna do anything south of the border
Well,
this year at least?
Well, with it being such a long race this year, the 1,000, a lot of people are looking for drivers, or they were, not so much anymore. They were looking for drivers, and I got a couple of calls to, drive some trophy trucks and stuff like that, which, I hate to turn down, but with the wedding being where it is and, the honeymoon after that and stuff like that, I told her, I'm going to take this 1 year off. I'll race every single Baja 1000, like forever. But, this year, I think I'm taking this one off just with how hectic this whole year has been and everything like that. And like if it's not fully on the contract and like I don't have to, I want everybody to keep me in mind, please, still to drive their trucks. But yeah, I'm not racing this one. So yeah, it's kind of a bummer, but I mean, it's there'll be more. So
Yeah, well, and the other side of it is you're getting married. So congratulations to you and
thank you.
your bride to be. That's a huge deal. I'm really happy for you there. And you get to go on a honeymoon, so you get to travel and not race.
Yeah, and that's really what I'm stoked about, because I mean I've been to all these places racing and stuff, but literally it's like we fly in, usually shake down the next day, and then like the day that we finish the race, usually trying to bail, so it's not like you spend a whole week racing somewhere and then it's like, you know what, I'd like to spend another week here just hanging out. It's like, dude, I want to go home. So yeah, it'll be cool to, check out some places and really just like go and, be a tourist for once. So it'll be rad.
Nice. That's cool. Well, you guys you have such well, you have had such a busy schedule this year. I mean, even this summer with your scrambles in the late spring and then summer, um, and then some of your other PR stuff that you've done. Um, Holy cow! Like, yeah, you're probably well ready for a rest.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. This year has been by far, the most race, packed PR stuff, just everything. I've been nonstop, this year. So it'll be a nice little rest before Dakar for sure. Just kind of like relax for a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and then that Dakar's what, right at first of the year, right?
Yeah, so they pushed it back like 3 days this year. So I think the first day is on January 5th, and then it ends on January 19th.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
still that's so crazy. And for those of you who have been under a rock or living inside a mushroom, I think AJ, are you the only American to win two Dakars? Is that correct?
I am, yes. The
Yeah.
only
Okay.
American to ever win twice. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, that's beyond cool because for me, like, I've just gotten to know you in the last year, and super great dude. But to me, even before then, it's like, hey, we've got our Yanks, bringing it home at Dakar. And I think we talked about it when we had all you guys on, about how, like, I was watching Dakar on Wide World of Sports when I was, before I was a teenager
Nice.
and dreaming of going to Dakar. So now, having these friends that are racing it, not only racing it and winning stages. And um, you and Mitchie and Seth beating up on each other. Um, but it's great because you're beating up on each other in the top three and just killing it, just leaving everybody else behind. So go America, go Red Bull Off Road Junior Team USA, and go Red Bull Factory Can Am Off Road by South Racing.
That was
It's
perfect. Nailed it. Yeah.
I'm getting there. I have no notes because I'm sitting here in I don't even know what am I in a Holiday Inn in Santa Ana.
Oh yeah, you're
Um,
like 10 miles away from me right now.
yeah, yeah.
I forgot.
So Sandsport Super Show. We got stage today, tomorrow setup day, Fridays put the lipstick on the pig day, and then show. So um,
Nice.
I have no notes with me. They're sitting on my desk at home, which is convenient. But I managed to remember that I asked Cole too. He's supposed to be my stat man. I was like, isn't he the only American? He goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And I
Yeah.
flashed to that, pretty sure. But yeah, no, that's so rad, dude. And it's like, I mean, to be, just going on about Dakar, to be such a positive image for our entire country on the Dakar stage, um, which in our country isn't that, I would say it isn't as big as it is in other countries.
Yeah.
Um, but the interest is definitely growing. And I really feel like that's that's like you. I mean, you taking two wins. Um, Seth smashing a bunch of stage wins. Um, you guys, I at one point, I think the American, I think you, Seth, and Mitchie were like top three in the T3 overall for a while this year. Um,
Yep.
yeah, so I mean, the that's huge, dude. And personally, as a proud American, thank you.
Oh yeah, of
Appreciate
course.
that.
Yeah.
And America, and especially in Dakar, um, hasn't always had the most positive image.
That is true. Yeah.
So I think, you and your teammates are doing a good job of restoring that, even among the international athletes that maybe didn't care for some of our other companies' representatives. Um, you guys deal well with the I don't know, what is it, hoopla, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, it's different over there. Everybody's got yeah, I don't know, their own opinions and stuff like that. But it's just different. But definitely, it feels good to try to grow the popularity of it and stuff like that over in the United States. And I think that me and my teammates, doing as well. Other guys like Ricky and stuff like that, Skyler.
Yep.
Everybody that's from the United States, that's we're all doing pretty decent over there. So it definitely it feels good, and it feels better for the people from the countries that have generally kind of ran it over there to be like, oh wow, like here we go, we're gonna have to deal with these guys now. So
Right.
it's fun.
Well, that's good. The Cowboys, man, the
Exactly.
Cowboys have put them on alert.
Exactly.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. So, we kind of briefed on it. You're sitting out Baja this year, but man, that's basically kind of where you cut your teeth, like from the time you were probably out of diapers, basically, huh?
Yeah, it's weird actually. It's weird because my dad raced when I was growing up and stuff like that, but I never really was super involved in it. Just like my whole life, I'd been to races like at Parker and stuff like that because I grew up in Arizona and it was close. So I went to Parker a couple times, some of the stuff in Vegas, but I mean I was never really not into it, but I was never really involved in it. So it was weird to grow up around all that and then never really, be involved. I went to college. I played lacrosse. I played, football, baseball, that kind of stuff. So I was more into that kind of like those kind of sports, when I was growing up. So I went to college at San Diego, and then after I finished with that, I moved back home. Didn't really have too much going on, and started working with my dad on like his pre-runners and like just kind of helping him out with the trophy trucks and that kind of stuff. And eventually I started riding with him in the trophy truck. Was just an insane time because I had never ridden in a trophy truck before, and my dad is wild. That was definitely crazy. And then eventually just kind of went down to Mexico with them, started pre-running, and like got to drive a little bit. And then, eventually it was like, all right, well, here we go. I'm going to try to race now. So it's a trip, but like my first race wasn't until 2018.
Wow.
Wow. I guess I didn't know that. But
Yeah.
I want to, so, um, your dad's pretty famous desert racer.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting. I want to go back to that where you first started riding with him when you hadn't ridden really with anybody in a trophy truck before, because that he is wild. I think there should be some expansion. You don't have to give away any secrets or embarrass anybody, but that piqued my interest. I've never gotten a ride even in a spec truck. So, how was it? Like you'd never ridden in the truck and you get in with your dad, who's, I mean,
Talented, not afraid to show it.
Yeah. Super, super, super talented. Let's not get, wild out of context. I think that
right.
honestly, like he's one of the most talented people I've ever ridden with or really seen drive. Like it blows me away. Some of the stuff that he can do, even still, he's racing the 400 on Saturday actually. So, in the Concrete Motorsports truck. So that'll be fun to watch. But yeah, he's crazy talented, and basically he taught me, everything from, in the last couple of years, just starting out, like how to do this, how to do that. But riding with him was really the biggest thing. And he's just fast. Like, I mean, when I say wild, I mean just like no fear whatsoever, flicking it into corners that I wouldn't do today at all. And then just getting away with it. And I'm like, that is not okay. Like, I'm sitting here on the, on the passenger side, and I'm like, holy shit. Like, this is not okay. This is not okay, but it just worked out. So, so that blew my mind. And I was like, I'll never be able to do this. Like, I will not ever be able to do this. Like, this is crazy. And, we're getting closer, but, it was fun. So like, we would do this thing too, is like, when I very first kind of started out, we would go do like, they used to have a race out in Pahrump, like the Best in the Desert race and that kind of stuff. And it would just be like me and him, and we cruise down with like maybe one, our mechanic guy would prep the truck, and then we would get it and we'd go down there, just me and him. And it's like, all right, we got some fuel, we fueled it up, and then we've got 2 tires, and let's just go race. And I remember it'd be like, all right, so the deal is like, if you get a flat, or if I get a flat, then like you change it, and then you can drive until you get a flat, and then we change it. So it's like, the first time I ever drove a 1,200 horsepower truck was like after I had just changed a flat, 0 time in the car, like just driving pre-runners and stuff like that. And it's like, all right, well, here we go. And like, you go from 0 to 120 miles per hour like this, and it's like, this is too much, man. Like, this is crazy. So, yeah, you learn quick when things are happening real fast around you.
Wow. Can imagine the adrenaline rush of changing the tire and then jumping in the driver's seat and being like, okay, how far are the pedals? Like, no time. We got to figure it out on the road.
Exactly. I remember like blowing through trees and stuff like that. Like, it just constantly, I had no idea where the wheels were. You know what I mean? I was just going for it. And he was like, you got it. And I'm like, I don't got it. Like, this is, so it was, it was wild. But then, I rode with him. And then in 2018, I got an offer from the guy that owns Thunderstruck Motorsports, named Bryce Swain, out of like El Cajon. And he was like, hey, do you want to like basically split the entire Baja series with me and a couple of races? We did Parker and then Vegas to Reno. And I was like, well, yeah, let's do it. And it was crazy because we ended up winning the 500. We won the 1,000 and did pretty decent in other races too. So that was like my first full-time, season driving, and we ended up winning like the Spec Truck Championship for Score and the 1,500. So it worked out well, and then kind of history from there.
So this coming from the guy who just said, I don't got it. I'll never be able to drive a truck like that. Goes out in his first full-time year in a spec truck and wins championship and wins the 1,000 and the 500.
Yeah. That's things happen really quick when you're moving quick like that. So
I'd say you've got a pretty good handle on it. Your dad would probably say, I taught him everything he knows, but not everything I know.
Exactly.
But I think you've learned a lot, obviously, because to be at the level that you're at and multi vehicle versed, if you will. Like, I mean, you go from trophy trucks to side by sides, and a few years ago that would have been like, people would have been, ooh, but now it's like, okay, the side by sides are one of the most competitive, most entertaining classes at Dakar, and big.
Well, and that's what it is too. Is like, 100%. Like, when you're a trophy truck guy, you you don't think much of, not don't think much of, but you definitely don't want to go down and
Right.
race side by sides. But I mean, once you get in it and you see how competitive the class is, and how big it is, and like just the factory support really behind it too, it's massive.
Yes.
But that's the way to go. If you want to be a professional race car driver, I mean, off-road race car driver, that was the way to go. So it worked out really well. And I had never driven a Can-Am before in my entire life until my first rally in Spain. So it was like, that was another thing. They're like, can you do this? And I'm like, I'll figure it out. So boom.
And that's what kind of adjustment was that though? Like you'd never really, literally, so you'd never driven a side by side in a race until, I'm assuming you'd driven a couple.
No, I never. Like my dad had a Razor, like one of those old, like the first ones that just came out. I think it was like 2017 or something like that. And like we had driven it around a little bit, just kind of like in the dunes and stuff like that. Like I had driven it sometimes, but never like proper a race car or anything like that. Like the kind of one that you would roll over on its side and then get out and push it over, that kind of
Right.
deal.
Razor, good old Razor 800.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, after the 500 in 2018, I ended up meeting the guy that owns South Racing still today, Scott Abraham, and he was like, "Hey, you ever want to try to race rally cars in Europe? Yeah, you can rally Can-Ams in Europe. Let me know." And I took him up on it, and then like 2 months later, I was on a plane going to Europe for the very first time. I've been in Mexico and the United States before. So like after that, it was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go to Spain and try to race a Can-Am. Got to learn how to drive Can-Ams, and I got to learn how to go to Europe. So here we go.
And Cole is, I know, a total geek when it comes to this, but the switch also, because like we talked about, in your changeover recently from Vegas to Reno to Argentina, and the car changes and stuff, to go from desert racing in Mexico and the US to first time in a side by side race car, first time driving a Can-Am race car, and I'm guessing probably a navigator you've never worked with, and road books.
Yeah, it was just a completely different thing. I used to because I was, at that time I was, full Baja guy. I was a big Spectra guy. I'd been doing it for a full year now. So, I was, big into it. And I was like, this is insane. Like, I can't believe you guys do this like this. Blah, blah, you know what I mean? I'm like, this is just so different, like I have no idea. And then started to figure out. And then after a while, like after like the first two rallies, I'm like, this is pretty cool. Like I like this, So yeah, that was a huge change too, just kind of trying to figure everything out, and interacting with the engineers and the mechanics and everybody from all these different countries and stuff like that. It was definitely different. So
Yeah, I can't imagine. Cole, what do you got on that? You look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, I just wish that like the people at home, and I'm sure you feel this way, AJ, like understood what you guys had to go through for navigation. Because if you're just watching the media or just watching it on NBC Sports, like there's a set cameraman or a helicopter, and it's like, oh, these guys know where to go. And it's like, no, you could get in the wrong wash and you could go 5 miles the wrong way before you got to backtrack to figure out how to maybe go again the right way. So I mean, are there like people you want to show roll charts and be like, hey, if you can read this the first time, good luck. But yeah, that's got to be such an adjustment.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, driving wise, it's such an adjustment. But I mean, just overall racing like that, it's so crazy. I mean, you can get lost for 5 hours. You know what I mean? People lose hours and stuff like that, lost all the time. I mean, that's not uncommon. I remember at Dakar this year on day 2, there was a really hard waypoint. And a lot of people literally lost their entire race, lost an hour and a half or something like that on the second day. So it's like, that's not uncommon. Like I've been lost for 20 minutes at a time, 30 minutes at a time. That's and still, done decent in races and stuff like that. That's just part of it, like they try to make you lost. They try to make it hard. So that's another crazy thing. Like, it's so crazy to be ripping down a road. That was one of the things I struggled with so much. Is like, it's so weird to be like just ripping and you're feeling good. And it's like, oh, hell yeah. Like, we're killing it right now. And the dude sitting next to you goes, yeah, now turn around. And you're like, what do you mean turn around? Like, this is good. Like, look at this road. We're hauling ass. And it's like, no, this isn't it. Turn around. And it's like, so like, that was one of the craziest things. Now it's like the second that he says, I'm turning, and we're heading back the other way,
Yeah.
So it's like, well, and then the worst thing too is like, it's like, all right, we don't know where to go. We don't know where to go. It's like, let's follow that guy. He probably knows where he's going. Then you're following someone. You're like, hell yeah, like, good call. That guy knows exactly where he's going. We'll stick behind him. Then you see that dude whip around and start heading towards you, and you're like, no.
Well, and you guys, this year, I don't know if they've done it before, but this year at Dakar, didn't you have to open a couple of days too?
Yeah, so it's like, you finish however you finish the day before is how you start the next day. So that's a trip too that a lot of people don't understand, is like with Dakar and rally racing and stuff like that, you lose time when you open. Some people, I mean, like, sometimes you don't, if it's an easier navigation day, sometimes you can get away with it. But I mean, generally, if you open, you're not going to win the day just because it's, it's harder too. So it's a little bit different in some of the times how they formatted it before, because if you have the T1s or something like that in front of you, I mean, there's sometimes people and, there's a little bit of a line and stuff like that. But again, there's lines everywhere. So it's still hard. But, you don't want to win every single day. If you know that it's going to be like, that's the thing that people don't understand. It's like, I try to, kind of put myself in the place where I think that I'm going to do the best. So it's like, I know that when you're following somebody in the dunes, like, if you have people in front of you in the dunes, you could read off of them and you're able to gain so much more time. So it's like, if I have a pretty good idea that we're getting into some dunes, the next day, then I'm trying to get like fifth or like 4 or 5 or 6 that day. And then the next day, I'm going to be able to push and just like, read off of this guy, knock it off, catch up to the next guy, read off of this guy, knock him off, like that kind of thing. So it's like, that's the kind of thing that a lot of Americans and people don't understand going into rally racing, is like, it's a huge strategy game. It's not just let's go out there and see who's the fastest every single day. It's like, you kind of put yourself where you want to be each day to build an entire rally. And then at the end of the rally, you see kind of where you're at.
Yeah, and I think you're right that a lot of people don't understand that. And on the other side of that, it's a true testament for you and these other racers that are doing so well. But for you to make that adjustment, and like you said, especially in the US, so much of the desert racing is run as a sprint. It's just mash it and go, blast through the stuff. I got a flat tire, change it, get going, blast through the stuff,
Right.
Like, you are racing so intelligently, so cerebral, really.
Yeah.
When you're racing like that. I had never even really considered that. And man, as you were just describing that, I'm in awe. I'm like, holy cow, I'd never thought of that. And how, like, obviously I could never do it, because you got to be pretty smart on top of everything else.
Yeah, it's different. And then, like, I don't know, I did a lot of time. I don't know, when I was first starting to learn, I had that, like, Baja 1000 mindset, that kind of mindset of like, let's just go every single day. And then I would wad cars all the time, just wad them. And that was another thing too, is like, the road book gives general dangers and that kind of stuff. But I mean, for the most part, if you're not if you're just sitting there waiting for your navigator, like in Mexico, we have every single thing marked. You know what I mean? Everything that might crash us. Like in rally, they only mark the things that are really going to get you. You know what I mean? So it's like I used to be sitting there waiting for him to say something, and I would not even react to something, and it would just absolutely wad us. I crashed like 4 races in a row, and I was first starting to race rally. So it's like that's another thing that we kind of had, or I had to get my head around is like, you have to have your eyes up so much more and look so much further out to be able to, like I'm not sure if he's going to say, this is going to crash you or something like that, unless it's something obvious, you know what I mean? So it's just a whole different mindset of like how you have to race and kind of how you have to think about it. Cause like, You're not going to win the rally if you have a shitty, third day, it's 14 days. You got to think big picture. So it's like, you got to kind of have that in the back of your mind the entire time. Like sometimes I'll give up some days to be able to make it to the end of the day because I got 13 more days to fight. You know what I mean? So it's weird.
It's smart though. And like I said, it adds I know when I'm watching in January of next year, and cheering for you guys and swearing at the TV because she mispronounces your name. Oh my God. I hope they get a new announcer for now. Cole, I won't do it.
No, I don't care. Go for it.
I was like, Cole.
No, I know what you're talking about. The one for the T3 class.
Yeah.
She's a little rough. Yeah.
And I really, I went, and I don't know if we covered this when we had all you guys on, but during Dakar last year, I had kind of a what would you call that? It's not a tantrum. It was just a rant, I guess. Because you guys are like getting, like, you got the most coverage of the American guys and most days, and to the tune of 28 seconds an episode.
Yeah.
And people that are running 379th but are from a foreign country are getting 3 minutes of coverage, and that is such an epic. On my side as an American, I'm like, that is such an epic international fail for the TV side, but I get it because nobody, it's, they don't, even though now, like, it was funny because like now, no matter what, they're forced. You guys have forced their hands. You force FIM to like pay attention to you and give you coverage because, you guys hold records. I mean, the Americans are going crack with the bat and there goes the ball. It's like, hey, we're here. We're not going anywhere. You've got great backing. And the South Racing team seems like a really tight team. Like they really work hard to keep your cars good for you. And I would imagine every car is probably set up a little different just for each driver.
Yep.
But man, the stuff I've seen and like the pit stuff, I geek out about, because when I quit racing, I became a crew chief. So it's like,
nice.
I geek out about the pit stuff. I could watch those guys. I wish they had a live stream because I could watch those guys prep the car all night.
It's crazy too, because I mean, you got to think most of the days they break that entire pit down every single day, and then they move it, 8-hour drive away, and then the first thing they do is build it all back up. Like it is wild what those guys do. Those guys, like the mechanics and the engineers and everybody that works in South Racing, those guys are like for that 2 weeks, there is no one on earth that works harder and sleeps less than those guys. Like those guys are on it. And I shouldn't say guys, there's a couple girls too. So those guys and girls, they absolutely work their asses off. So it is insane what they're able to do and just completely give you a brand new car every single day while we're sitting there trying to catch a couple hours of sleep whenever we can and stuff like that and trying to eat as much as possible. It's insane. So yeah, a big shout out to all of those guys that are on the team and for all the work they do, because I don't know how they do it, but they keep doing it. A lot of espressos, that's for sure.
Yeah, it sucks enough to take an easy up down, and now you get to do it for 14 days with an entire moving bivouac.
Oh yeah, and however many cars they have, and just all the other stuff that they have to do, it's insane.
So are they is there any plans for South Racing to buy one of the trucks, one of the Dakar trucks, and have how cool would it be to have AJ and how about AJ and Seth switch back and forth, driver, co-driver in a big giant monster truck across Dakar?
I would strangle him. And he'd strangle me too. But oh man, yeah, that'd be crazy. And you know what? There's 3 people that ride in those actually too. So yeah, it'd be great. Me, Seth, and Mitch. It'd be perfect.
Maybe just a good Red Bull promo, because drivers aren't good co-drivers. So I don't see you guys doing 14 days of it.
Oh man, that would be insane. Yeah,
you know what? That's something we should pitch. You should pitch to him though. That'd be a great idea for it'd be a great idea for a promo gig. Just do a couple days or something. 3 days. There's 3 of you, so yeah. I guess you'd have to do 9. No, you could do 3. It'd be a challenge. But dude, that'd be really sick. That'd be so entertaining, and just have 24-hour coverage. So
that would be sick. Those trucks they're insane. I mean, they look insane on TV, and then you see them in real life, and those things, they're so massive and they go so fast. I remember some of those trucks, we would be going through the dunes and I'd be clipping, and one of those things would just be whoa, and and just take out and just completely check out. And I'm like, no way. How is they going so fast? You get in them and the steering wheel is all big and it's horizontal like a school bus. It's so gnarly. And those guys rip. It's crazy. And then you see some of the in-car, and those 3 dudes are just sitting there. Yeah. And they'll hit some gnarly whoops or something, and all 3 of their heads, dude, just bang,
clacking
bang.
Helmets.
Yeah. 3 little Russian dudes bashing their heads. I'm like, no way. It is, yeah. Those things are insane. So yeah, that'd be fun, honestly.
I think it'd be hella entertaining. I'm pretty sure that would be a multi-million view reel series on Instagram for Rebel Off-Road Junior Motorsports USA. Rebel Junior Off-Road
Team USA.
Team USA. Yeah. I got all the words in there somewhere, I'm pretty sure, but anyway, we should probably wrap up, because I know it's getting late, and we gotta hit maybe after the next rally. Oh, after you get married and everything.
After honeymoon,
Yeah. Maybe late this year we could get you guys all back on, because that was so much fun, and get your thoughts heading into Dakar and post Spain and all that. But yeah, dude, thank you so much. This has been a blast. Also, if you get over, Havasu way for sure hit me up because
Yeah, 100%. Definitely. I mean, I don't really go up there too much, but yeah, if I ever do and stuff like that, I actually have been going out and doing some training and stuff in Parker. So yeah,
nice.
whenever I'm up that way, definitely let you know.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be rad. AJ, um, man, what a history, dude. I guess I didn't realize that you actually didn't jump behind the wheel till yeah, I shouldn't say later in life, but compared to like some of the other racers on your team that started while they were still in diapers, um, he knows who I'm talking about. um, no, man, and to be where you're at, real testament to your drive, your intelligence behind the wheel is obviously like um, gotten you multiple opportunity. Like people recognize the talent and intelligence and able to put packages together that are race winning. I mean, dude, and you just like kick back and you're a rad dude.
Thanks. Yeah, no, it's a trip because I still feel like I'm still learning. Like I'm around some people that have been racing, yeah, their whole life and stuff like that. Like, some of those people like that I race against, like in Europe and some of the people in the United States, they've been doing this their literally their entire life and stuff. And like, so for me, I'm like, dude, I'm still brand new. Like I'm still like trying to figure this out. I guess fake it till you make it.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing if that's what you're doing a hell of a job, dude.
Yeah.
I do, but right before we close, I have a quick question. So, during Dakar and obviously on the Red Bull stuff, we get to see a lot of in-car, a fair amount of in-car stuff, like whether it's usually Red Bull social media stuff, I think. Um, do, does your dad ever like text you and go, "You did this wrong"?
Well, it's funny because I mean he's usually there with me.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, so he comes out to Saudi, and the first couple of years, the first I would say a couple of Dakars and stuff, because I was doing it as like a privateer back then.
Right.
So like he would definitely, he was really, really involved and always trying to help, obviously. But when you hear it from your engineer, you're like, okay. When you hear it from your dad, you're like,
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's always been obviously, had my best interest in mind and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely within the last couple of years, taking a step back, like with the last couple of factory teams I've been on and stuff like that. But yeah, every once in a while it's still like, man, like, why didn't you do this? And I'm like, no, I think it was really like, this was a good idea. No. So
Well, it always adds to the education though, because I'm sure down the road or 2 o'clock in the morning, you're like, damn it, what was it? What if he was right?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, these are some of like the best times is like going to all these places with him
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And, having him out at Dakar and stuff. So no matter what, maybe his good, bad, whatever opinions, I wouldn't change anything. It's always good having him there. So yeah, he can say whatever he wants.
That's awesome. Okay, we better wrap it up. We're getting right up on close. Sponsors and shout outs.
Yeah, big shout out to sponsor wise, obviously Red Bull, Can-Am, BFG, KMC, Baja Designs, Sandcraft. Who else? Motul Oils. Yeah, the whole team, South Racing, everyone who helps out. Yeah, big shout out to everybody, that's a part of the team and that's made, it happen for me. So I appreciate it more than you even know, because I wasn't sure what I was going to do when I first moved back to Arizona, so I'm super lucky to have this all work out as well as it has been. So yeah, I'm just happy to be here, So
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure.
thanks.
For sure. Hey, AJ, I guess probably the next time we talk, you'll be an old married man. So
I know.
congratulations. You October 21st.
October 21st. Yeah.
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 That's a great day. That happens to be the Mad Dog's birthday.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'll be in Prescott Valley for Enduro Cross.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So, dude, that's your day will be more fun and less work, I'm sure.
I don't know. It's been a lot of work. It'll be fun, but it's been a lot of work. And it hasn't been so much work up until about like when I got home from Argentina. I mean, these last couple of weeks, like these last 2 weeks have been it's on. It's go time. Oh yeah, it's go time. Like we are in full prep right now. So yeah.
Cole just went through that, what, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
So,
year and a half. Yep.
year and a half ago. So
Nice.
I'm still coming down off that day of stress. So
oh man.
Awesome.
All right. Parting statement, AJ.
No, I mean, just thank you guys so much for having me on again. I always have so much fun sitting here chilling with you guys. So appreciate it. And yeah, looking forward to talking to you guys soon. So
appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cole, closing statement.
Closing statement. We'll be rooting for you when you're in Morocco, and thanks for being such a badass American ambassador. That's what I got.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. And AJ, thanks for jumping on. Appreciate you working with us on the schedule. We're recording a little bit later tonight, folks. We're recording a little bit later tonight, folks, because I got tied up with setup at Super Show. So, AJ, thanks so much. We will talk to you soon. Ladies and gentlemen, the two-time Dakar American winner, AJ Jones. Good night, buddy.
See ya later, guys.
Going, AJ.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Man, oh man, that was so good. So much fun. AJ's such a rad dude. And like you said, such a great ambassador for the U.S. We're very grateful to have him and representing USA and just knocking out Dakar wins, man. Dude, we need to call it a night, but not before we thank our awesome partners, Kicker Performance Audio. Find them online, kicker.com, on Instagram, at Kicker Audio, Bomber Floating Eyewear, Bomber Eyewear, Bomber Safety Eyewear. Yep. Over 40 total styles of floating eyewear and safety glasses. And I don't even know how many different styles of lenses, colors, options. Check them out. BomberEyewear.com or on Instagram at Bomber Eyewear. Of course, the Premix Podcast. Find them on Instagram at the Premix Podcast. That's the at symbol ThePremixPodcast. Check them out for all your desert racing photo needs and MC needs, announcer needs for your off-road event, your wedding, your divorce. Ask your girlfriend to the prom. Man, hit them up on Instagram. Send them a message at the Premix Podcast. Of course, Kelsey Morrell Film at Kelsey Morrell Film on Instagram. Knocking out all these videos, all these podcasts into videos and getting them produced. And she often has a lot of work to do and get them up on YouTube and now YouTube podcasts on our Mad Dog Media channel. That's on YouTube, MADDOG Media, MEDIA. Of course, if you follow our social media, you will notice that we have a bunch of new artwork, a bunch of new presentations. Be sure and check us out. Those are all compliments of Hey Keeks Marketing. Hey Keeks does a great job, whether you need a website built, you need some social media stuff done, you need templates built, you need your entire. I was just at an event where she had designed everything for this business, from their logo to apparel to their entire booth setup, including the artwork on their Easy Up and everything else. If you get a chance, look it up at Sunkissed Bikinis, Sunkizzed. Check out Hey Keek's work. Pretty impressive. And of course, check us out at AFTR_podcast. Oh man, so grateful to have her helping us out. She does such a great job. You need a hand? Yell it. Hey Keeks. Find her online, heykeeks.com, or on Instagram at Hey Keeks Marketing. Dude, holy moly. AJ is just so rad. That was just so much fun.
Oh yeah, yep. So I think that puts Mitch back in rotation for next time, right?
Yeah, I think it must be. Maybe we can get Mitch after Morocco.
Morocco Mitch.
Or is it? Yeah, Morocco's next, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So that'd be really cool. And we have some other guests lined up that we're working on. And we're also working on a very special concept that, if and Cole doesn't really know what I'm talking about yet.
Nope, I'm just looking at the camera and smiling.
Yeah, if I can make it work, it'd be really cool. We'll see what happens. So with that, Cole, do the speech.
Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite streaming platform.
Smooth like butter. What else you got?
Real quick, sand show this weekend, so I'll see you in like 48 hours.
Yee.
2 weeks after that, we're back to District 38 racing again for the rattlesnake chase. Super excited to go back to the desert. And then letting the cat out of the hat here, we are putting a program together for the Glen Helen 24-hour race. So
Yes.
if anyone would like to get involved, there's a lot of help we could use. Even if you want to send us good vibes, hit me up on Instagram, please. But yeah, we're putting a program together, and we're going for a finish.
That's awesome. And they can find you on Instagram
At the Premix Podcast, or what the hell is my actual other Instagram? A Moto Pharaoh, one word, like motorcycle Pharaoh. Moto Pharaoh.
Yeah. Yeah, hit them up if you want to be a part of their program. Help them out. They could certainly use some help. Whether it be some gift cards for in and out, or a little money, some gas money, or whatever you can do to help. Let them know you're thinking of them. Hit them up. Other than that, I got sand sports this weekend, which I'm really stoked to see you. Really stoked to see everybody. Got my own little special surprise coming at Sand Sports, which you will all see.
It's such a surprise. I didn't even get to see a preview, so that's
Yeah,
how big it is.
He has not.
I'm with the common folk. We're all going to be surprised together.
It is. It's going to be great. You'll get to see it Friday on my social media. And I am so super stoked, with a special shout out to my dude Armando over at Gator Wraps and GatorWraps.com for being great hosts yesterday. With that, I think, speaking of wraps, we should call it. Thank you, Team Kicker and Kicker Performance Audio, again, for another great opportunity to be out here representing the brand and being at Sand Sports Super Show. With that, we'll see you this weekend. Mad Dog out.